It took a lot of time before I had certainty that I would make a third Night at the Museum. And it was many drafts of the screenplay, but really I think that ultimately what I was looking for, what Ben and I were both looking and waiting for, was a defining principle, a reason why. And it was only when we stumbled on the idea of the potential death of the tablet that we felt we had finally discovered a raison d'etre, a kind of core theme and motive for both the characters and the filmmakers. It wasn't just, oh, we're going to a new museum. It's, we're fighting for the life of the magic itself. For me, there's something about the blend of wonder and this kind of magical universal what if that gets brought to life in these movies. And if we do our job right, it gets brought to life with a magic and a humor and a warm-heartedness that is really winning and compelling. And I love being on those rides. I love creating that ride. And frankly, the older I get, the more movies I make, the more I'm very, very conscious of the privilege that it is and has been to create these worlds and create these adventures. The creatures start acting really weird. The tablet is slowly corroding with this kind of green rot. And Larry figures out that something's wrong with it, the magic is at risk, and the only one who might know what's going on and how to fix it is Akhmun-Ra's dad. The problem is, when the tomb of Akhmun-Ra was uncovered in the 30s in Egypt, Akhmun-Ra and the tablet came to the US, but the rest of the tomb went to the British Museum. And so Larry has to go to the British Museum in order to breathe life and bring to life Akhmun-Ra's dad so that he can ask him the question, what's wrong with the tablet? How do I save it? Because for Larry, the end is unthinkable. It's unbearable. It's unimaginable. So he's willing to do anything to save the life of this museum and of what has become a family. I'm thrilled to say that everyone's back. It never occurred to me that we shouldn't or couldn't get all our core players back together. So in addition to Ben's Larry Daly, it's Robin Williams as Teddy Roosevelt, it's Mizu Opek as Sacagawea, Patrick Gallagher as Attila, Owen Wilson as Jedediah, Steve Coogan as Octavius, Ricky Gervais as McPhee, Rami Malek as Akhmun-Ra. To name, just some of the returning characters, Dick Van Dyke, Mickey Rooney, Bill Cobbs, they're all back. We have Dan Stevens playing Sir Lancelot. He came into a franchise in its third adventure and has just killed it. The guy is so talented, in addition to being super handsome, funny as heck, incredibly solid and dimensional dramatic actor. I really don't know if there's anything that kid can't do. He is amazing as Sir Lancelot. While the movie is very much grounded in a relatable theme and relatable relationships, visually there is so much more to enjoy in this movie. There's a range of spectacle, different kinds of visual effects, different kinds of creatures and sequences, unlike anything the audiences have seen in the other two movies. And that's been really, really hard to figure out. But I think it's going to make for a ride unlike and beyond what we've given audiences in our prior two films. What we've been able to kind of pull off gives people the fun and the funny and the kind of wild ride of an adventure, but does so tethered to real people doing real things. And it's not superheroes and it's not animated. And I think that that's an amazing genre. It's the genre of Amblin film or Zemeckis film, Ron Howard, Spielberg kinds of films that I certainly grew up on, that I'd like to think still have a place in theaters and with audiences. And certainly as long as I'm able to make these kinds of movies and tell these kinds of stories, I'm proud to be doing so in live action, even though and maybe because it is more and more infrequently done. When you do a movie, as I did on the first night at the museum, and the set is populated by Ben Stiller, Robin Williams, Owen Wilson, Ricky Gervais, Steve Coogan, you're doing the script, but there's no way you're only doing the script. These are all, first of all, writers in their own rights, and just incredibly quick wits. There were a few reasons why the British Museum made sense. Not only is it one of the great and most famous museums in the world, not only is it set in one of the great European cities of the world, but it also has the largest collection of mummies and Egypt artifacts outside of Egypt. And so in a movie that is very much about kind of the Egyptian lore of Akhund-Ra's family, it made sense in all these ways to take our adventure to the British Museum.